Miss Renu, you could
Hello,
start.
everyone, and welcome to Born to Shine, being brought to you by Genius Kids. I'm Miss Renu, and I want to begin by, of course, first always thanking Radio Zindagi for giving Genius Kids the platform to always be able to bring things that are important for the community. So, thank you again for tuning in, and I look forward to everyone enjoying the show today. Today's show is a little different. Normally, I bring on children who are shining and doing something different. This time, we are going to have the family of a lovely little boy who we want him to shine too. And his name is Neev Kolte. And we have with us today Daddy, Sandeep Kolte. And so, welcome to the show, Sandeep.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to talk about our story and our experience.
You're welcome. It's our pleasure. And then we have with us Sandy Schneidner, who is a Pleasanton resident who runs a very well known Pleasanton community group on Facebook. And she's also here on the show to support this cause. So, without any further ado, let me begin by explaining that I know very little about the cause we're going to talk about. I know it's abbreviated as DIPG. And with all my dyslexia, I'm definitely not going to try and say those long words. But I heard about this last week from a young lady that we had on our show. And then the next day, we read a post by Sandy asking for support for the family. And we felt it was very important that as a community, not only should we create awareness and bring awareness to this subject, but also if we can help the family, it's so important. So I want to begin by welcoming Sandeep. And Sandeep, if you can tell us a little bit about what's going on.
My son Neev was diagnosed with this DIPG back in August of 2020, so about 7 or 8 months ago. DIPG, it stands for diffused intrinsic pontine glioma. Uh, that's the first time I heard when he was diagnosed. Uh, what it means, diffused means that it's a tumor in at the stem of the brain, and diffuse as in jelly-like. So it's not a solid tumor, so it's inoperable. You cannot remove it surgically. And the location is the base of the brain, which makes it very strategic because that's where all the cranial nerves are running through. So as the tumor grows, it pretty much inflames and presses against all your nerves and thereby affects all your functions, bodily functions. And I'll get more into that later on in the show. Diffuse intrinsic, it's inside the pons area. Pontine glioma, pontine is the pons, which is the brainstem, and glioma is the type of tumor. So it was Saturday morning, and he was just a regular boy just running around, and he was having some issues with his gait, the way he was walking. It was funny. So I took him to the ER, urgent care. Then the ER MRI happened, and they basically at Oakland Children's, they told us that you're not going home, and this is a tumor, and there is no cure. Now,
So, if I can stop you there for a minute. So, how old was he when you first noticed this again?
5. He was 5 years.
5. So, was he walking perfectly okay up till that time?
Yes, absolutely. He was
So,
walking, everything was fine, and suddenly it just hit us out of nowhere.
so what did you notice that made you take him to ER? What exactly did you notice on him?
He was off balance. So when he was
Okay.
walking, he was not walking straight. He was not able to stand straight. And again, going back to the tumor itself, it's affecting one of the areas in the brain that allows you to stand straight or maintain your balance. And
Mhm.
that's what was the telltale sign in our case.
And you mentioned that it's a jelly-like tumor. So I'm amazed that even like a jelly-like tumor can grow. I would assume that jelly is just going to wobble and stay there. You mentioned that it
Uh, it,
continues to
it,
grow.
it grows really fast. So that's one of the, I would say it's probably the number one killer for children right now in the world.
Wow.
It's 100% fatal. There is no cure yet, and that yet is very important because when we were in children's hospital, they said there is no cure. They forgot the word yet, and that is the hope, right, for families like us.
Right.
And 5 years ago, situation was different. There were no trials, nothing was going on. As of today, there are 31 trials. And even where I stand, even though we have this terrible disease in our in our family with our kid, I can say I am lucky in a way because we are in Bay Area where there are two premier institutions, UCSF and Stanford, who are running massive trials, and they're getting some success where they can extend the life. And just today I heard the news that Stanford is actually putting out a paper with that says that they've seen 90% reduction in the actual tumors in some kids. It's a very dangerous trial, but they have seen some success.
So then when you heard that he said you can't go home, so what has changed in Neev since last year and today?
So what has changed is, so the standard treatment is radiation. So after 6 weeks of radiation, there is nothing. You go for experimental trial, and let me just dissect that a little bit.
Sure.
So when you go look at COVID vaccine that came out, it was probably tried on 300 to 400,000 people before it came out.
Right.
It's the vaccine that is available commercially. When we are looking at this tumor and these trials, Neev is patient number 3, patient number 5 or 7. So there is nothing out there that has been tried. So we went, and because there were no options, we went to New York for a particular trial. The trial was supposed to be for 2 weeks. There was surgery involved where they were going to put a catheter in his brain. The idea was to put some medicine that infuses over a period of 48 hours, and then we wait to see how it affects the tumor, and then we do the same experiment next week. So trial, and then you go home. So as part of that exercise, the background, we read all the papers, and my wife is a research scientist, so she can understand this world a lot better than I do. So she has been reaching out to doctors and whatnot, and we thought this is a good trial. We asked all the doctors, we got to see, got their opinions. We spoke with all the parents. This is the week of Thanksgiving last year. So we go into the trial. Day before the trial, we had our lunch together, and he was fine. The surgery was scheduled for Monday. He goes into the surgery. It was an 8-hour-long surgery. I stayed outside the hospital. It was raining hard. I just stayed there. I couldn't go home. With COVID, you're not allowed. Both the parents are not allowed inside. So I was the whole time. The surgery went fine. The next day, the first sign came. We started the infusion, and after the infusion, he stopped. The speech got slurry, and he stopped talking by the end of the day. This was Tuesday. Wednesday morning, he had lost his ability to swallow. So now the speech is gone, the swallowing is gone. By Wednesday evening, now we are getting into the Thanksgiving mode. So all the doctors are, there is no one available at such. He's still in ICU, but he basically lost his ability to move his neck at that point. By afternoon, the arms were gone, the feet were stopped moving completely. Friday morning, he was he was intubated because he couldn't even breathe on his own. So in matter of 48 hours, my child, from being, a happy child running around, he was fine. He went to completely vegetable. He was able to move only his eyelids and his left thumb. And that was the week of Thanksgiving for us.
Oh my gosh. And how is he now?
So from there, he's now, today he's doing okay. He hasn't recovered all of these functions back. They couldn't tell us if it was permanent or if it was temporary. They couldn't tell us why it happened to him. None of the other kids had this. They still don't know what, if we tried again, what would happen. There hasn't been a day when I have not kicked myself or my wife hasn't blamed herself for putting him through this trial until last week. Last week, we got to know that the medication actually helped him, and somehow, at least, I don't know if it reduced the tumor or not, but it definitely showed some positive signs in the MRI. We are going to get another MRI to confirm that. But as far as he's concerned, all the doctors told us, don't keep your hopes high. He will not be able to even go from one side to other side in the bed. He will not be able to speak. Beating out all the odds and even fighting with the doctors. We fought a lot. We argued a lot. Um, and that's one thing that you learn on this journey. But basically, where we got him was we do 6 to 8 hours of play with him. Play is all, on the face it's play, but it's all therapy. I learned a lot. To give you a simple example, just playing with yo-yo or a ball, he has to raise his hand above his
Right.
level. But you invent the game, you come up with the games and you play. And today he is able to walk unassisted about 10 feet, 20 feet. He can walk. He can sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. He's able to talk. During the evenings, when he's relaxed and calm, and he gets his medications. His voice comes back, and he will say a few words. Um, in terms of his ability to swallow, again, we are working on it every day. He still has a nasal gastric tube. It's called NG tube. It goes through the nose. He's on that tube, and he comes up with funny words. So he calls it biscuit. I don't know why, but but he's doing okay. He's not where he was. We don't know when he will get there. The doctors told us he won't even be able to walk. We went to visit the doctors at UCSF, and he walked into the room, and they were just amazed. They were like,
Wow.
"How did you do this?"
Just listening to you, Sandeep, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps. I don't even know how, hats off to you and the family for being able to deal with this. I'm going to bring Sandy in at this particular time. Sandy, thank you for, posting this. It's all about awareness. So can you tell us, Sandy, I mean, what has got you to be so involved in this cause, and what are you here to advise our listeners? What is it that we as a community can do for Neev and for his family?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you, Sandeep, for allowing me to be part of this process for you. I met Sandeep through his neighbor, who has been part of different initiatives as part of the Pleasanton Community Group on Facebook. My group was founded to help the community, to help the community help the community, to let people find a way to help each other, and to be kind and respectful to each other locally. We've hosted several initiatives, but this one came along. I met Sandeep. He explained what he was doing. The first thing that we did for him was, as he said, his family was not eating because they were dedicated solely to their son. They weren't taking care of themselves. And so we as a community came together, and we've been delivering dinners for them for the past 3 months, every dinner for the past 3 months, except for a few. The whole community has come together. There are maybe 30 or 40 people that are cooking every night on a rotational basis for them, just to keep their hopes up. This is a family that is desperate. They show courage, they show dedication, and they show honesty to the situation that they're in. I know that it wasn't easy for them to ask for help. They didn't ask for help. Their friends and their community came together to try and help them proactively. So what I'm asking the community to do, those of you that are listening, it is a matter of trust, and it's a matter of helping out in a situation that is a dire situation. You don't know if you're going to be able to help individually, but you know that if you don't do anything, you're not trying to help. You're not going to be able to change anything. So all these hurdles that Sandeep and his family have gone through as advocates in the medical system, those of you who know about the medical system, you have to be strong to be able to say, yes, we're going to try this. Yes, we're going to try that. Have that hope. It's a very expensive situation. It's very expensive. Insurance will only cover so much. Their costs are rising and rising. Their friends who've started up certain fundraisers, and who've set up certain funding opportunities, are pushing to go to the point where the monies are not going to be there as long as we keep trying. There are different opportunities internationally that will cost a lot of money going forward. So I'm asking the community at this point. This is the first time that I've asked for money. We've helped in different situations with goods, but this is the first time that I'm asking for money. Zindagi is the word is life. And so we're talking about life here. And we're talking about somebody's lives. So we want to help them maintain those lives. I can't see another, I thought about it long and hard before I asked for money because it has to be transparent and it has to be direct. And there's no money going to anybody else but to them. No 10% cut, nothing going straight to them. So that's what I'm asking.
Thank you. I can feel your, I can feel all your love and the compassion that's in your voice, Sandy. And thank you for talking about the transparency, because that is just so critical, absolutely so critical. So if you could, Sandeep, just to be really candid and blunt on the show, because that's what my show is all about. What do you need help with? I mean, just say it. This is the time to just say it. What is it you need? Whatever it is, what can we do? Money, what else? What else can we do?
Apart from money, I think, and it just doesn't apply to me. I mean, if you come across any pediatric cancer patient or any family struggling with cancer, people say a lot of times that be strong, you know, or I can't imagine what you're going through. Those are cliches. Don't even say that.
Yeah.
A fruit basket or uh, pay, you know, Uber Eats or send them something, deliver them dinner. I think that is more helpful than you know, just saying I'm there for you, ask me to do anything. We are not in a situation where we can think about these things. The just to reiterate on strength, you know, the definition of strength as it was, I grew up in Indian society where we think that if you're crying, then you're not strong enough. I cry every single day, and I learned that hard way. And my wife, for the first 5 days, she was in the hospital. She stood next to me. I went and I started crying, and she held my shoulders, and she said, "Look, we are going to fight. 23 hours of the day we are going to fight. 1 hour we are going to take. We'll cry. Go to temple, sit in the car, go in the shower, whatever you want to do, but we have to fight this." And she's a researcher. Every single day she reads a lot of papers. There is not a single paper out there that she hasn't read. There's not a single doctor out there we haven't reached out to who knows about DIPG. We talk from the doctors to healthcare professionals, startups. We've talked to CEOs of healthcare startups. So anything the community can do, not just for me, but anyone who you may know in your circle, and or there is a fabulous organization that I know of. It's called Dragon Master Foundation. There are 1,200 of them, but I again single out the ones that are focusing on research, because they are the ones which will who will find the answers for us, who will ultimately lead to a cure.
Right.
Funding a family or funding the individuals, it's one thing, and I have obviously do need it. I wouldn't have. I mean, it took a very long time for me to even come to that point. And honestly, as Sandy mentioned, the costs are enormous. I mean, initially I didn't think about it, but within first 3 months of the treatment, just flying to New York, staying there, everything that is not covered by insurance, I paid around $50,000 to $60,000 in 3 months. That was gone. And now the speed at which we are going about this, I'm not looking at money. I'm not going to look at money. Even if I go bankrupt, I'm going to do it.
So, Sandy, how can, and Sandeep, how can people reach you? Because naturally, we don't want to give any addresses out on, home addresses or whatever on
Sure.
social media. What is the best way, first of all, Sandy, for us to be able to contribute to the cause? Or, is there a GoFund page, or is there something else?
There is a GoFundMe page that we've set up. You can easily search it just by going and looking for Neev Kolte, Kolt.
Okay.
And I can provide you the link. You can put it with your
That would be great. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
apart from that, Sandy's Facebook community, that has been an excellent support. So she's collecting the funds for us. If you need to send a check, there is a way to get it to through her as well.
Yeah.
And she can give
Sandy,
that.
could you tell us how the process is?
Yeah, so there are two options. So as Sandeep says, you can go through the GoFundMe, or you can join Facebook community, Pleasanton community on Facebook, and you will find the post, and the information is there as to how to send a check directly to Sandeep, and the way to get it there. Or my PayPal and my Venmo accounts are there as well. And
And what
again,
if somebody
there's
doesn't
no
live in Pleasanton? How can they still join your group?
they can still join my group, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to ask.
Okay.
And of course, all the Venmo and PayPal go directly to Sandeep. No percentage loss there. So either the GoFundMe or the two options there, Pleasanton Community Facebook. So those are the two ways. And of course, through Facebook community and through other ways, we're going to get the information out as to updates in terms of Neev's health. Maybe I'll turn it back over to Sandeep to explain how you will be able to understand what's going on with the monies that you're contributing. And in the bigger picture, as you can hear, Sandeep is not just talking about helping his son. He and his family are really committed to finding a cure and a way for not just Neev, but for others in this situation.
Right.
So that's a very noble cause, even in this situation, to give hope for other families. I know he spends a lot of time communicating to others. So those are the ways that people want to know where the money's going to go and how it's going to be spent in this cause. So Sandeep, I'll turn it back over to
We
you.
have about a minute before we wrap up. So yes, Sandeep, if you can let us know. And also if somebody wants to join the group even for dinners and other things, maybe we can, I guess, add you on Facebook and get your information, right?
One last thing I would like to add is if your company matches the donations, that is also something that you can consider when you are sending the check or however they are paying. There is a way to make that happen so that the amount increases.
That's wonderful. Yes. So, friends, this is our show for today, Born to Shine. I'm sure all of you are as touched as I am. My head's just reeling with. There's so much out there that we can do, and every single one of us, whether it's money or food or whatever it is, we have to remember that we can't sit here and say this is never going to happen to me. I'm sure Sandeep never knew it was going to happen to him. None of us ever know this. So it's so important to come together, putting everything aside, race, religion, gender, everything aside. Let's come on together and help Neev and anyone out there that's affected. Sandeep, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor for me to interview you, and of course you, Sandy. It's just an honor for me to get to know both of you and to know how kind and compassionate you both are. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And friends, this show will be on Radio Zindagi page, so continue to watch it and do add Sandeep and Sandy on Facebook if you need any information. Back to you, Radio Zindagi. Thank you very much.